There is a mistake most men make before they ever lose. They speak. They speak of their ambitions. They speak of their strategies. They speak of what they are about to build, who they are about to defeat, how they are about to rise. And in speaking, they expose themselves. I learned this from studying Niccolo Machiavelli, a man who understood that power does not disappear in battle. It disappears in conversation. The moment you reveal your full intention, you give others time to prepare. And preparation is the seed of resistance. Look carefully at the world around you. Promotions are not lost because someone lacked talent. Businesses do not collapse because someone lacked vision. Alliances do not break because of destiny. They break because someone talked too much. When people know your next move, they begin calculating. They begin adjusting. They begin positioning themselves either to benefit from you or to block you. Dangerously smart individuals understand this. Information is leverage. The more people know about your plan, the more leverage they gain over you. In courts of kings, a whisper could end a dynasty. In politics, a rumor could collapse an empire. In modern life, a single careless statement can destroy negotiation power. This is not paranoia. This is awareness. Machiavelli observed that men are not evil by nature. They are self-interested. And self-interest makes even friends potential competitors when opportunity appears. So why would you hand them your blueprint? Silence is not weakness. Silence is positioning. When you speak less, people reveal more. When you reveal less, people assume more. And assumption creates psychological advantage. Mystery breeds caution. Caution breeds respect. Have you noticed how the quiet person in a room often commands more attention than the loud one? The loud man entertains. The quiet man unsettles. Because no one knows what he is thinking. And that uncertainty makes him powerful. The dangerously smart individual understands that clarity in action is far more effective than clarity in intention. Act decisively. Move precisely. But never announce your full strategy. There is a difference between transparency and exposure. Transparency builds trust when necessary. Exposure destroys advantage always. You may share pieces of your thinking. You may hint at direction, but never display the entire map. If someone can see the road ahead of you clearly, they can place obstacles on it. Consider this. When you tell people your long-term ambitions, you invite comparison. Comparison invites envy. Envy invites sabotage. Many battles are lost before they begin because the opponent was warned. In The Prince, the lesson is not merely about deception. It is about control. Control of perception, control of timing, control of knowledge. Timing is everything. Reveal information too early, and you weaken momentum. Reveal it too late, and you miss alliance. The intelligent strategist chooses precisely what to reveal and when. Most people speak to feel validated. They want approval. They want encouragement. They want to hear, "That's a great idea." But the dangerously smart do not seek applause before execution. They let results speak. Understand this deeply. Once words leave your mouth, they are no longer yours. They belong to interpretation, and interpretation is unpredictable. People will twist your intentions. They will misunderstand your plans. They will project their fears onto your ambition. Why create unnecessary variables? Control the narrative by limiting access to it. This does not mean isolation. It means discipline. If you are building something powerful, protect it in its early stages. When a structure is weak, even light pressure can collapse it. Strengthen it in silence, harden it in privacy. Then reveal it when it can no longer be stopped. The art of withholding is not manipulation, it is strategy. When others are uncertain about your next move, they hesitate. Hesitation creates space, and space gives you freedom to act. The most dangerous opponent is not the strongest one. It is the unreadable one. So speak carefully, reveal selectively, think privately, and let your mind remain a locked chamber to all but yourself. Before a man is defeated publicly, he is defeated privately. He is defeated in the moment his anger takes control of his tongue. He is defeated in the second his fear alters his posture. He is defeated when his excitement exposes desperation. This is the battlefield most people never see. When I studied the mind of Niccolo Machiavelli, I understood something unsettling. Power does not first belong to the strongest, the richest, or even the most intelligent. It belongs to the most composed. Emotion is not weakness. Emotion is information. But uncontrolled emotion is exposure. Imagine a negotiation. One man remains calm. The other grows irritated. Who holds the advantage? The calm man now knows exactly where the pressure points are. Irritation reveals insecurity. Raised voices reveal fear of loss. Defensive explanations reveal doubt. The moment you react emotionally, you surrender data about yourself. And data is leverage. Most people believe strength is about dominance. Raising their voice, asserting control, displaying intensity. But true dominance is restraint. The one who does not flinch during insult. The one who does not panic during uncertainty. The one who does not celebrate too early during victory, because celebration reveals expectation, and expectation reveals attachment, and attachment is vulnerability. In The Prince, there is an underlying truth that echoes through history. Men are governed by impulses: fear, greed, pride, envy. Those who understand this rule, those who are governed by it. When someone insults you, what do they seek? A reaction. When someone provokes you, what do they desire? Confirmation. When someone pressures you, what do they expect? Emotional leakage. Do not give them the satisfaction. A calm face in chaos creates psychological imbalance. Others begin to question themselves. They wonder what you know that they do not. They wonder why you are unaffected. That uncertainty shifts the power dynamic silently. This is not about suppressing emotion. It is about mastering its expression. Anger can be useful, but only when chosen deliberately. Fear can be protective, but only when analyzed, not obeyed. Excitement can inspire, but only when controlled, not broadcasted recklessly. Consider how easily people are manipulated through emotion. News headlines trigger outrage. Social media provokes envy. Competitors trigger insecurity. Leaders trigger hope or fear. Why? Because emotional people are predictable people. Predictable people are easy to control. If someone knows what makes you angry, they can steer you. If someone knows what scares you, they can corner you. If someone knows what flatters you, they can influence you. The dangerously smart individual studies their own emotional patterns the way a general studies terrain. Where do I lose composure? What words trigger me? What situations make me defensive? What tone makes me anxious? Self-awareness is strategic armor. When you understand your emotional triggers, you remove surprise from your reactions. And when there is no surprise, there is control. Observe powerful figures in history. The most formidable ones were rarely the loudest. They were measured. Their pauses were calculated. Their responses were delayed just enough to feel intentional. Reaction is instinct. Response is strategy. There is a difference. The world will test you constantly. It will insult your pride. It will question your competence. It will threaten your security. It will tempt your ego. Each moment is an invitation to react, and every reaction is an opportunity for someone else to gain information about you. Silence in the face of provocation is not submission. It is dominance through discipline. When others argue emotionally and you remain composed, observers instinctively assign authority to you. Calm signals confidence. Composure signals preparation. Emotional chaos signals lack of control. Control yourself, and you control perception. Control perception, and you influence outcome. Remember this: the person who angers you controls you. The person who frightens you directs you. The person who excites you excessively manipulates you. Do not surrender your internal state so cheaply. Emotions are tools. Tools must be held firmly. And the man who masters his inner world becomes terrifyingly difficult to defeat because his reactions cannot be predicted, his expressions cannot be exploited, and his composure cannot be shaken. Men do not judge you by truth. They judge you by appearance. This is not cynicism. This is reality. And no one understood this more clearly than Niccolo Machiavelli. You may possess intelligence. You may hold superior strategy. You may see 10 moves ahead. But if the world perceives you as dangerous, immoral, or untrustworthy too soon, your game ends before it begins. Because power does not operate in isolation. It operates in perception. Most people want to be authentic. They want to show exactly who they are, what they think, what they intend. They confuse transparency with strength, but uncontrolled transparency is exposure. Machiavelli observed something uncomfortable about human nature. People do not examine deeply. They observe quickly. They judge emotionally. They decide based on what is visible, not what is real. So, if you wish to move strategically, you must understand the theater of virtue. Appear honest. Appear loyal. Appear compassionate. Appear principled. Because people support what makes them feel morally comfortable. In The Prince, it is written that a ruler must seem merciful, faithful, humane, upright, and religious. But be ready to act against these qualities when survival demands it. This is not hypocrisy. It is adaptability within a flawed world. Imagine you reveal your full ruthlessness immediately. People become defensive. They unite against you. They monitor you. They prepare. But if you are perceived as fair and composed, doors open. Trust is extended. Information flows toward you freely. Reputation is a shield, and the dangerously smart understand how to build that shield intentionally. You do not need to lie about who you are, but you must understand which parts of yourself serve you publicly and which parts must remain controlled. Compassion is useful when it builds loyalty. Firmness is useful when it builds respect. Silence is useful when it builds mystery. But raw ambition displayed carelessly builds fear and resistance. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people do not resist evil. They resist visible threat. If your strategy is hidden beneath virtue, you move freely. Observe history carefully. Leaders who ruled effectively did not walk around announcing cruelty. They spoke of justice. They spoke of order. They spoke of stability. Perception created compliance. You must understand that appearing virtuous does not mean being weak. It means being calculated in presentation. There is a difference between morality as belief and morality as strategy. When people believe you are principled, they lower their guard. When they believe you are predictable in goodness, they assume limits to your action, and assumptions are strategic advantages. This does not mean you abandon ethics. It means you recognize that the world responds to signals more than substance. If you want influence, you must manage signals, your tone, your posture, your words, your public decisions. Each element contributes to the image people construct of you, and once that image solidifies, it works for you. The dangerously smart individual understands that reputation compounds. Every visible act becomes part of a narrative. That narrative becomes identity. That identity becomes power. If you are seen as fair, your harsh decisions appear justified. If you are seen as calm, your silence appears wise. If you are seen as disciplined, your ambition appears visionary. But if you are seen as ruthless too early, even your fairness will be questioned. This is why emotional discipline from the previous lesson connects here. When you control your reactions, you control your image. When you control your image, you control how others position themselves around you. And positioning is everything. You are always being observed in rooms you enter, in conversations you lead, in conflicts you navigate. Ask yourself, what narrative are you allowing others to build about you? If you ignore perception, others will define it for you. And once defined, it is difficult to reverse. Strategic minds curate perception carefully. They allow just enough visibility to appear trustworthy, just enough humility to appear grounded, just enough strength to appear formidable. They do not perform goodness recklessly. They embody it selectively, because appearing virtuous creates access. Access creates opportunity. Opportunity creates leverage. And leverage, when used quietly and precisely, builds influence without ever appearing aggressive, without ever appearing manipulative, without ever revealing the full extent of your strategic intent. There is a dangerous illusion that many people live under. They believe that being liked guarantees security. They believe that being loved guarantees loyalty. They believe that kindness guarantees protection. But history and the observations of Niccolo Machiavelli tell a different story. Love is emotional. Fear is structural. Love depends on how people feel today. Fear depends on what they know will happen tomorrow, and feelings are unstable. In The Prince, Machiavelli asks a question that unsettles many. Is it better to be loved or feared? His answer is precise. Ideally, both. But if you must choose, it is safer to be feared than loved. Because love is sustained by obligation, and obligation disappears the moment self-interest shifts. Think carefully about human nature. People remain loyal when loyalty is convenient. They support you when support benefits them. They praise you when you provide value. But when circumstances change, when pressure increases, when fear of loss emerges, love weakens. Fear, however, operates differently. Fear is tied to consequence. When people know that crossing a boundary produces predictable outcomes, they hesitate. That hesitation creates order. Order creates stability. This does not mean terror. It does not mean cruelty for its own sake. It means clarity of consequence. The dangerously smart individual understands that authority without consequence is decoration. If you are only loved, you are negotiable. If you are respected through controlled fear, you are calculated around. And being calculated around is power. Observe leaders who are overly desperate to be liked. They avoid difficult decisions. They delay confrontation. They tolerate disrespect. They excuse incompetence. They fear appearing harsh. And slowly, their authority erodes. Because when there are no consequences, there is no structure. Machiavelli did not advocate chaos. He advocated control. And control requires boundaries that are not merely spoken, but believed. When someone believes that defying you carries no cost, they will test you. When others observe that defiance carries no cost, they will imitate it. Soon, love turns into familiarity. Familiarity turns into disregard. Disregard turns into challenge. The transition is subtle, but it is predictable. Fear, when managed properly, prevents this erosion. Fear must never become hatred. Hatred creates unity against you. Hatred inspires rebellion. Hatred fuels revenge. But measured fear, fear rooted in respect for consequence, creates caution. Caution creates stability. If people know that you are fair but firm, they will calculate carefully before opposing you. If they know that betrayal leads to decisive response, they will think twice before attempting it. The key is predictability. Unpredictable cruelty breeds paranoia. Predictable consequence breeds order. The dangerously smart leader does not explode emotionally. He does not threaten impulsively. He does not punish randomly. He establishes clear standards. And when those standards are broken, action follows calmly. That calm enforcement is more powerful than anger, because it communicates that consequences are not personal. They are structural. When discipline is emotional, it appears unstable. When discipline is measured, it appears authoritative. Many fear embracing this lesson because they equate fear with evil. But consider this. Even in personal relationships, professional settings, or competitive environments, boundaries define respect. If someone knows they can disrespect you without repercussion, affection will not save you. Affection fades under pressure. But when someone knows you are capable of decisive action, even if you rarely use it, they treat you differently. Posture changes, tone shifts, calculations adjust, and that shift is invisible power. To be dangerously smart is to understand that love is a gift, not a foundation of authority. Love enhances leadership. Fear secures it. You can be kind, you can be generous, you can be supportive, but beneath it, there must be steel. Because the world is not governed by ideals. It is governed by incentives and consequences. And when others recognize that crossing you carries weight, that disrespect has limits, that betrayal has response, they will measure their actions more carefully in your presence. They will evaluate their words more cautiously. They will calculate their decisions with awareness that your tolerance is not infinite, that your kindness is not weakness, that your patience is not absence of power. There is a mistake that has ended more careers, kingdoms, and ambitions than open enemies ever have. It is the mistake of half measures. To wound an enemy and leave him breathing. To expose a rival and leave him resources. To confront betrayal and leave it unresolved. When I studied the ruthless clarity of Niccolo Machiavelli, One lesson stood above the rest in its severity. Never do small harm, because small harm invites revenge. In The Prince, Machiavelli makes a cold observation about human nature. Men should either be treated well or destroyed, because if you injure them lightly, they will seek vengeance. But if you destroy them completely, they cannot retaliate. This is not about cruelty. It is about foresight. When you threaten someone's position, pride, or survival without eliminating their capacity to respond, you create a future enemy with motivation. And motivation is dangerous. Understand this deeply. The most persistent enemies are not strangers. They are those who feel humiliated but still capable. Humiliation fuels memory. Memory fuels strategy. Strategy fuels retaliation. The dangerously smart individual does not escalate unnecessarily, but when conflict becomes unavoidable, they do not leave it incomplete. Think about competition in business, politics, or even social hierarchy. If you challenge someone publicly but fail to secure decisive advantage, you have now alerted them to your intentions. They will study you, they will prepare, they will strengthen quietly. You have converted a passive competitor into an active adversary. Half measures create long wars. Machiavelli observed that decisive action, though harsh in the moment, often produces longer stability. Prolonged conflict drains energy, reputation, and resources. Quick resolution preserves them. When you decide to act, act with precision and finality. This does not always mean destruction in the literal sense. It means neutralization. Neutralize their influence. Neutralize their credibility. Neutralize their access. Neutralize their leverage. But do not leave openings. If someone has proven disloyal, removing them halfway invites sabotage. If someone has attempted to undermine you, confronting them weakly signals vulnerability. The world respects closure. People may judge severity briefly, but they respect certainty long-term. The dangerously smart understand that mercy without security is self-sabotage. This is where many fail. They hesitate because they want to appear kind. They delay because they fear criticism. They soften consequences because they hope the problem disappears. But problems rarely disappear. They evolve. An unresolved threat adapts, and adaptation makes it stronger. History shows that many rulers fell not because they were too ruthless, but because they were indecisive at critical moments. Indecision signals weakness. Weakness invites challenge. When boundaries are crossed and no firm response follows, observers learn something dangerous. You can be tested. And once that lesson spreads, control erodes rapidly. However, there is discipline required here. Not every disagreement is a threat. Not every critic is an enemy. The dangerously smart distinguish between noise and danger. They conserve severity for true risks. But once identified, they do not hesitate. They calculate the long-term cost of leaving a rival partially empowered. They ask themselves, if I allow this to continue, what does it become in 1 year? In 5 years? Strategic thinking stretches beyond the immediate discomfort of decisive action. Temporary discomfort is preferable to prolonged instability. Remember this. Forgiveness is powerful when the offender is powerless to harm you again. It is dangerous when they retain the ability and desire to retaliate. Security first, mercy second. This principle applies not only to external enemies, but to internal weaknesses. If you identify a habit that sabotages you, remove it completely. If you identify an environment that undermines your growth, leave it fully. If you identify a pattern of behavior that attracts manipulation, eliminate it without compromise. Half change produces half results. The dangerously smart do not operate in half steps when survival, reputation, or authority is at stake. They understand that unresolved threats linger in the shadows, waiting for distraction, waiting for weakness, waiting for opportunity. And they refuse to create enemies who have both memory and time. Silence over exposure. Composure over reaction. Perception over raw truth. Fear with boundaries over fragile love. Finality over hesitation. These are not lessons for the naive. They are not comfortable. They are not gentle. They are not designed to make you popular. They are designed to make you effective. The world does not operate on ideals alone. It operates on incentives, consequences, perception, and power. And Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago when he wrote The Prince, not as a manual for cruelty, but as a mirror reflecting human nature without illusion. To become dangerously smart is not to become heartless. It is to become aware. Aware that words reveal position. Aware that emotions reveal weakness. Aware that appearance shapes opportunity. Aware that authority requires consequence. Aware that unfinished conflicts return stronger. Most people move through life reacting. The dangerously smart move calculating. Most people seek validation. The dangerously smart seek leverage. Most people want to be liked. The dangerously smart want to be respected. And respect is rarely given to those who expose every thought, react to every insult, forgive every betrayal, or fear every confrontation. The difference between ordinary intelligence and strategic intelligence is this. One gathers information, the other understands power. If you apply these lessons, you will not need to announce your strength. You will feel different in rooms. Conversations will shift. People will measure their words more carefully. Competitors will hesitate. Opportunists will reconsider. Because you will no longer be predictable. You will no longer be emotionally available for manipulation. You will no longer confuse kindness with weakness or transparency with wisdom. You will understand that intelligence is not about knowing more. It is about revealing less, reacting less, fearing less, and deciding more precisely. And in a world governed by impulse and ego, the individual who masters restraint, perception, and decisive action does not merely survive. He ascends.